this for you. Don't mind me.
Hello. Sup. Emmanuel. How are you doing? What? Hi. Hi, Emmanuel.
Hello.
Hi, Will. It's me. I hear you. I'm in the
Hello.
audience right now.
How are you?
How are you?
Is it working? Is the sound working? Hello, hello, hello. Can you hear me?
done, and how the Lord changed you, transformed you guys. Uh, so we'll just go in order. So when I ask the question, we'll start with you, and then kind of go down the line here, and then yeah, and you guys feeling good? I know it's gonna be a little more nerve wracking because it's live. It's the first live stream we actually ever done. So yeah, so with all that being said, welcome here to Res Roots. My name is Will. I have here Amy. She's a sophomore. Got Faden over here as a freshman, sophomore.
Yeah, just a mix.
Yeah. And I got and I got Kion, Yazi, senior, Nevo. Yep, and then I got Andrew, also a freshman as well, Nevo as well. Yep. So, yeah, with that being said, I'm going to ask the first question is, what is one highlight you have from MIT? And before I do that, I forgot to mention. So what Ministry Immersion trip is it's a trip that the school does every year. We want to, for us at IBC, we emphasize of ceasing to be the mission field and be the missions force. So the reason why we do the ministry immersion trip, the abbreviation is MIT, so you're going to be hearing that a lot. So the reason why we do that is to help train up Native leaders such as, myself and everyone you see on the panel. And we also want to work or serve alongside any other ministry or Native ministry in general. So this year we went to Cortez, Colorado, with the Christian Discipleship Center, and we got to serve on the facilities over there. So yeah. So my first question I have for them is, what is one highlight you have to share from MIT?
I think for me, one highlight would be the devos that were shared each morning. I really liked how they were done and how much thought was put into them, and all of them felt needed for the MIT. Like they were made with a purpose, and it was encouraging to hear the different people with their devos. Like one of them was spiritual rest as well as physical rest, and that is something that we definitely do need on MIT. It takes a lot out of us, and so being able to have biblical foundation with that really helps, and community as well. So that was one of my highlights.
Well, one of my highlights was that too, but my greatest highlight was we just spend time together from working, like we just work together, just communicate each other, even though we're just like working and get to know each other more. Like we don't know each other well, and yeah, I just love that, just to get to know each other, but with our brothers and sisters. So yeah, that's one of my highlights, just to get together and communicate for each other.
My highlight from this MIT would probably be the location, being in Cortez and spending one day in Durango too, and so it was nice to see that part of the states, especially Colorado. I suppose maybe 2 years ago we were driving through Colorado, but on the eastern side. So now it was cool this year to see the mountain area. So yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was the churches that we visited in Sanasi and was it Toyak? Was that the church in? Okay, yeah, in Toyak. I think that was a highlight for me because I never been in those areas, so that was a really huge part of meeting and getting to know those those locals and get to see what their stories about and how they grew up and what they do for their church service and everything. So I think that was a really great moment to just see and just to meet them, and that was a huge part. I loved every bit of that. I remember the people and the conversations that I had with them. It was really it was really quite amazing, and that really opened my heart. And I'm like, wow, it's not just us that's just doing ministry. It's other churches are doing the same thing, kind of what we are doing. So that was really heartwarming to see and get to know them. So
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I want to say I agree with all you guys. Those are a lot of the highlights I had as well, and also with Toyot Community Church. That one was pretty moving because I already forgot the pastor's name. Do you remember off by? Yeah,
I forgot too.
It's been a couple weeks. So shout out to you. I'm sorry I forgot your name. I feel bad now. I need to go look at the notes. But anyways, like I just like it because he served out there with the Ute people for years and years and years, and he never, like I think one thing that was pretty crazy was of him hosting these AA meetings, and he said usually it will be one or two people, 5 to 10, and then sometimes there will even be no one shows up. So like he still does. He hosts these meetings and stuff. So just his faithfulness and him serving out there and on the reservation and the Ute people, it was pretty moving for me and kind of inspired me to, for my future ministry as well. And it could be the same for you guys as well. So all that being said, my transition here to my next question is, what is one thing that God taught you with this year's ministry immersion trip?
I think one thing that God taught me this MIT was just patience. I think this MIT was a lot of hard labor and a lot of working with your hands and working on your feet. And so it was just patience and as well as like working as a team, not just trying to do things individually, but working as one body. And I think that was something that I learned from this MIT, and yeah, it was very refining.
The God taught me is about um, being around people. Yeah. um, yeah, I just want to be, I'm always an introvert person, but so I try to get along with people just to, be out there like I'm this. But yeah, I just want to get along, just to go out, just to see what God can give me, just to meet new people, including the church too. I love that, just to meet a lot of people. Yeah.
I think for me, as a student body leader, as student body president, working alongside a team of other leaders, and discerning where everybody is gifted in, where their talents are, where their skills are, and orchestrating where they can fit within their the capacity of the skills that they have, and trying to situate that, making sure like you don't want someone to be in a place where they're not suited for, but you also want them to be challenged and to learn something from it, especially teamwork. And I know that's every MIT is always striving for that. But for me, it would be like discerning where everyone's giftings are and how that can be utilized for the benefit of the body, to encourage, to uplift. And I don't want to say that in a way where like previous years haven't been like that, but I think that was something I emphasized for this year.
yeah, for me, I think it was not doing everything on my own into that team. That team leadership really spoke for itself, and I got to see that very firsthand with my own eyes. That was a really wonderful thing to see. So just like reflecting on myself, like I'm so used to doing like projects or just something on my own just by myself. I'm not really that used to having other teammates and that just that support that you need. So having that, I got the job a lot a lot done faster, and I think that was a really cool thing to see how everybody moved and everybody was just going at their own pace, and they saw who was struggling, and they helped to whoever was struggling. I thought that was really neat to see. So it was um, realizing I'm like, oh, like I have teammates and I have my brothers and sisters here with me to get the job done. So that was really inspiring to see. And I'm like, oh, I don't have to do this on my own. Something that's physical, labor, and seeing that was like, oh, it was just easier. It was a lot of weight off my shoulders and everything, and so that was pretty cool to see. So
Nice. Cool. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. I got a question here for Kion. And putting you on the spot. I was kidding. I know this is gonna be a major curveball and maybe a hard, heavy question, but I was gonna ask you, like, because you've done a lot of MITs and you've been through the ringer. No, no. I just wanted to ask you, like, what was, you know, you've been on many MITs, and like, have you ever seen the MITs different every year, or do you see a lot of similarities, or do you think MITs is different?
I think every MIT differs in its own way. Kind of depends on like the churches that or the wherever the location may be, the people that are hosting us. It depends on them of how much they're willing to provide in like providing work projects, community. I think that is probably in that area too, like community outreach. What are they doing in that? And so I think it does differ every single year in what we can do. Sometimes like for South Dakota, like that trip being long distance, it was very stressful. It was new for us because of the a day and a half, I think it was, we traveled to our location, and then another day to travel to our main location. But I think it was the weather that really threw everything off too. Like that one day it snowed, the storm came through and it snowed so bad that we had to just like call a day and spend the rest of the day just hanging out. And this location, even in Cortez too, it snowed, but it didn't affect us that much. And White River, it's maybe a little weather problem, but sometimes stuff like that, it depends too, the location and the weather. But sometimes it depends on the host too, like how much they're willing to provide, and like how much of an outreach are they doing within the community that we can be engaged with. So that's how it differs, I think.
Yeah. So then, last question I have for you is, so how do you feel, or how did you feel, like with this being your last MIT? What was your like ultimate biggest takeaway you have from this year's MIT?
Biggest takeaway that I had would probably do that. I think it would be, Toyak, driving through the community that Sunday after church and praying for the community. And you begin, I think when we did that, we realized, the spiritual depravity there was. And it really took me back to Pine Ridge when we were there. And that one was hard too. And I mean, every reservation will have its level of spiritual state of like, oh, this, you can feel the heaviness here or that. But Toyak, we saw it, we felt it. And there was a lot of heartache that, I mean, we go to all these reservations. Some of us, even outside of MIT, outside of IBC, we travel to these other reservations. And there's a lot of crossover that we see from drugs, alcohol, abuse, and stuff within the community, and even depravity of not just spiritual depravity, but of all sorts. And you see the effects, and you see the crossover, and you see where where you as an individual relate to, and you see the relevance, and it hits you, it hits your core, and you begin to realize, where what Christ begins to see, what Christ sees, that kind of takes me back to the passage in the Bible where, he was feeding the 5,000, and he saw a multitude of people, and his heart was moved for them. His heart was grieved for them. And I know for me, being on three trips outside of the country and meeting three different people groups, and I could say, I saw the same thing too. That no matter where you go, even as an indigenous person, no matter where you go, you see that. You see the crossover, you see the relevance, and you see, where Christ, how moved Christ is and how moved he wants you to be reaching out to people. That is the main importance, is having a heart for them. And maybe not doing all you can, not having the savior complex to save a community and stuff like that. But, wanting to come alongside them and meet them where they're at, and be of service to them, and somewhere along the way, share the gospel. And that's really my big takeaway from this year, and that's what I feel like, the big message laid on my heart by Christ has been.
Nice. Thanks, Guy. I appreciate that. Now I want to put Andrew here on the spot here. So this was your first MIT, and I know every year, usually like every beginning of the year, you keep hearing that MIT, and then you're not sure what that is or what's So I just wanted to ask you, like, what was like your first impressions and like your thoughts on your first MIT, like overall, like what was, like, if you give a good big picture of your experience and your impressions and thoughts of MIT.
Yeah, my first MIT, or this MIT, was really great to have. I didn't realize how much spiritual it was before, going into MIT, because all the staff and the students are like, get into the word, start praying, because like I'm like, what's gonna happen? Yeah, are we really going into battle and everything?
Yeah,
but
going to war.
yeah, exactly. And I kind of got that mindset and everything. I'm like, oh shoot, okay. So of course I did that, and just going and just working together. I mean, it didn't feel like work. It just felt like just hanging around. A lot of it was fun, and I'm like, where's the spiritual side? um, but yeah, and then that's when I realized, I'm like, MIT doesn't have to be the only time where you have to be spiritual and get into the word and everything. It should obviously be daily into our everyday lives.
Yeah.
And going into MIT with with that mindset has really helped me and opened my eyes wide open to a whole different perspective that I never even seen before. And as I mentioned earlier about meeting with the new churches and everything that I never visited, that really opened my heart a lot. And I'm like, wow, these people are the love that they have for God and everything. That is truly, truly amazing. They've done that for so many years, and just seeing that throughout the week, and just I'm like, wow, I can't believe I'm doing this. It feels like an honor.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that, just get to know the staff that you're with throughout the entire week. Just knowing this staff, I got to know this staff a lot more, which was really, really nice, because I feel like I got the staff that I talked to, I didn't really like have a conversation with them like their previous semester or a couple of weeks before, but just working with them and getting to know them a lot more personal was really good, because I feel like it was easier to connect into work with each other and everything. And again, the work projects didn't feel, just work. Just I'm like, this is fun. I don't think there was a time where I'm like, all right, are we done now? And, like, oh, I'm tired. Let's get this over with. But I'm like, once we reach towards the end of the day, I'm like, let's do some more. And once we have this mindset and this energy that we can, I was hungry for some more work. And I think that was like one of the prime example that we should have. I'm like, because I'm like, I want to do something else, and put me on another team because I want to help these guys and everything. But seeing that, just the work projects, and being at CDC, it was a familiar place because staying there for Broken Arrow for orientation, so it was like a familiar place. So it didn't feel like like a stranger or like an outsider, and so it was just easier to just to get comfortable and to get to meet Joe and I forgot the other guys. I think it was Brian. I think getting to talk with him was really interesting. So throughout this whole MIT was really I loved every bit of it. I wish we would have stayed longer, to be honest, because I love the work that we did. I mean, not just for that moment, but for the future people that are going to be there and to see the wonderful work that we have done and what God has prepared for all of us to do. And yeah, this I love the MIT part. I love the whole week that we spent together and free day in Durango. That was really sweet. So yeah, so MIT was really a good week to spend with the Lord and the staff and the students as well. So
Yeah, it is true. I definitely can recall. I remember seeing you everywhere. You're always doing something. That's pretty cool. And it's funny too because CDC they definitely had some pretty intense jobs for us. It's like, had chainsaws. You had fire torches. Like we had it all. It was pretty interesting. It's the first for me. Or MIT, they let you have these kind of jobs. I was like, yeah, it's kind of crazy. So someone almost got their arm cut off. Not to say names. Names have to be Josiah Butler.
some senior.
Yeah.
There's a senior out there. You guys didn't know.
Yeah. So now I turn it over here to Amy and Faden. So this year you guys is second MIT, right?
Yes.
So what was there a lot of similarities from last year to this year, or were there a lot of differences? If so, explain if you can.
I feel like this one was different from White River. It was definitely different people with more male freshmen coming in. So, but it was good. I think the difference was good because if it was as similar as it was to last MIT, I don't think it would have been as interesting and would have felt repetitive. But because it was different, because it had different qualities that went into it, it made it interesting. And like what Andrew said, it did. It really, you wanted to stay there longer. You were hungry for more. You're like, okay, where's more work? And also, like, just the community felt tighter there. I feel like at White River, it was good. It was tight. But here, when we were in Cortez, it was tighter. And that was nice. And we all had lots of laughs. And, yeah, almost watched someone get hurt. That's different from last MIT.
For me, it's just a lot similarities and differences. It's just between there, and yeah, the Right River we're just like a lot of communicative, but over there we're just like we were just with the kids and um no kennel I think it was yeah and we're just spending more kids over there, and we just didn't really work over there. But when we went to Cortez, we just been working, like we're just volunteering, just to help, just to get just fix the place up. But yeah, and like end of the time, we just hang out with Durango, and mostly we just went to church too. We just went different churches to just help a little bit, just to get to know other people. And yeah, it was really great. It just like it's kind of like a similarity, just to be with people around, meet new people, just to you know um, what indigenous Bible colleges, just to get them coming over here, just to get to know more about the Lord. And yeah, we just got some people over here from White River, so yay. But yeah, it's God's words. So yeah, it's just similarities.
Yeah, that is true. I forgot we recruited Carter from that trip. Yeah, shout out to Carter. We'll put a picture of him right here on the screen. No, I was kidding. Yeah. Yeah, so that is cool. Yeah, because like I do. I'm glad you mentioned Naomi because yeah, like every MIT, there's always a lot of differences, and I think what was cool about this year's MIT was how we were all in one place. You know, because like one year we went to Phoenix, and man, we were all over the place. Like every day we were always traveling on over to Mesa, and then we gotta go over to the other side of Phoenix, and then, like we were just driving all around. And then at the end of the day, we were have our debrief, and then I know majority of the students just went straight to bed. You know, like because you know it was actually the first time for me I ever seen that MIT where like you guys were playing like card games and a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, a lot of laughter, a lot of fun. But for some reason that year, everyone was just like, "Yeah, I'm done for the day. Like, I'm out of here." But the cool thing about that though is like even in the midst of the work teams, there was still a lot of community. It was just a lot of work, a lot of labor, and not only just when it comes to labor, but a lot of like emotional and spiritual weight. But so all that to say is what I'm transitioning to. The question is like, how was your guys' community time after the projects were done? So like, what funny stories you guys have? Because I know there's plenty. I know someone can, yeah, share some your community time, what games you played, and just anything in general.
One of the nights when I decided not to go to bed early and I stayed up with the others to play Christian Cards Like, which is kind of like Cards Against Humanity, but Christian. And we had a lot of laughs, and one of the cards that I got, which was really funny, I can't remember the full context of like the question that was asked, but it said, "Love your sin."
Love your sin.
Yeah, love your sin. It was so funny. And then we were making fun of Jonathan. I think we're like trying to hook him up in that game or something. Yeah, no, we had a lot of laughs, and it was nice too because I went in there with like this pounding headache. I was so tired and just done, but the laughter really did cure it. I went to bed that night without a headache. I was like, yes, thank you, Lord. So, yeah, that's one of my funny moments.
Then one of the funny moments, I think I have a student. I think you guys know Eddie. We're just playing Jenga. We're just playing it like every night. And one time, we're just like, okay, let's make a bet. Because I'm always winning, like all the time. And I was like, okay, so let's see who can buy fast food. I was like, okay, let's shake on it. So we're just playing and playing. And after that, I thought I was going to win. So it felt though I lost. So I was like, oh man, I got to give him the Whopper and some, I don't know, the fast food. And I didn't still give it to him yet. I tried, but he doesn't want it. So that was really my funny moments because it was really fun, the game nights. So, so yeah.
Ooh. I think the first day that we got there, getting everything set up and cleaned down. Towards the evening, kind of had a little open free time, and I think it was just me, Tim, and there was another person. I can't remember who. Might have been Josiah, but just the three of us, being in the weight room and just working out for a bit, and seeing where everybody's, how much they can lift, where they're at in that, and seeing how much they can take on. That was cool. But then that was the last night. That was the first night I did working out, but then for the rest of the week I wasn't doing that. But I think one of the other evenings that we had for community time, we played. Oh, no, it was the Sunday after we got back from the service, and we came back, and it was a wide open time for us. But we played. What was the name of that game? Casting Stones. Yeah, Cast the First Stone, which I didn't have a problem with. So I can't remember who we played it with, but I know it was Corrine was a part of it, Josh Ortiz, and there were several other students too. We started off with 6, and then from there, we started adding on other students, but getting to know like where everyone's judgments are was pretty interesting. Things that, certain situations, circumstances, wherever they would find themselves, these questions were that were already printed on the card. We just kind of make that judgment as to who would that be, and so it was pretty cool getting to know that. And I think the other community time would be like working with others. I was mostly working the lift all week that we had when we were tree trimming, and getting to work with Andrew, other guys on the team, Kai, Emmanuel, and just seeing how where everybody is and working, what their strengths are. And I'm not great on communication with people, but I do my best. But most of the time, I was just telling everybody, just cut it right here. What do you think? How do you think we should get under this tree? It's like mostly just operating that, but and so it was good to work with people in that way, and seeing how everybody gets along, and hearing at the end of the day, like, oh, I never really got to hang out with them. I see them, I say hi, but now, after talking with them, getting to know them a little bit more. And so it's always cool to hear that in those debrief times. But that was my community enjoyment throughout the week. Yeah.
What was your question again?
So kind of like anything in general, like a funny memory, a great memory, or, because kind of something related with the community. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think for one, I think my favorite one was being up in a lift with Kion to cutting down those trees. I've never been in a lift before. I've operated a chainsaw before, but I never been in a lift. At first, I was kind of sketched. I'm like, I don't know, man. I see it wiggling and everything. I'm like,
especially when that lift, kind of starts straightening out.
Yeah. Yep. It's like going at your own risk. I'm like, yeah. But no, I think that was my favorite part, just to extend at a certain amount and just to, cut down those trees. I think that was a lot of fun. But yeah, I think that was like my favorite part, because it just finally got to cut down those. I didn't realize how long those branches were. I'm like, oh shoot, these are pretty long and everything. But yeah, it was fun. I got used to it. At first, I was like a little kid. I didn't want to get off because I had so much fun. And so just the smell of the trees smell really good and everything. But yeah, just seeing everything from like a bird's eye view was really good. Yeah, let's see what else. Oh, another, I think a funny one. I think it was with Micah. We were hauling the branches into the fire pit. We're coming back to the grass area, back to the trees where I forgot. I think you were there. I think you were there. I think someone else. I think Kyle was driving. Or someone else. But anyways, we're coming back, and then Micah didn't know what RD meant, and for the longest time he didn't know what RD meant, and he's like, I forgot, he said like, "Oh, I thought I was rejected disciple." I'm like, I was like, "Ain't no way, Micah, you really thought that was the name this whole time." So I remember we just started dying, and he were, so you hear Micah's laugh out loud, and you can see him laughing. I'm like, that was hilarious. I'm like, who rejected disciple? Who says that? And I'm like, that's crazy. But yeah, I think that was a funny one. So that really made me laugh. My stomach's all hurting. It was hilarious. But yeah, so just being on the lift, cutting down those branches, and hearing Micah say that, it was funny. But yeah, I know there's a lot more, but I can't think of it the top of my head. But yeah,
so I feel like it's been a long time. This MIT happened. It was only a couple weeks ago. That's funny. That's the first time I ever heard that one. You were rejected disciple. So I like that.
All right, so Will was asking me to ask you guys a question, and the question that comes up to my mind is, what was the job that you guys were doing at MIT?
The first job that I was assigned to was painting a house, and that was nice and relaxing. It wasn't too bad. It was windy, but it was nice painting, and it was fun being able to work alongside Joe. He is very particular about things, so if you're unsure about something, he says, "I'll do it." And you don't argue. You don't say, "Well, I can't do it." And I'm like, "No, you'll do it." So that was fun, and I got to be on one of the taller ladders, and that was scary. Felt like I was going to fall, but I did it. I was brave. So yeah, that was my first job.
My first job was we're painting the deck and behind the building. Well, we just scrape off the old paint, and we're just painting. We're just all having fun. We're just all like, it's kind of funny too, because like in that first job, we're doing like the easiest job. So everybody, we're just all like doing the hard stuff. We're just all like, and like we're all talking. Was like, what are you guys doing for spring break? For everybody, we're just all like all hard and just going to that lifting, and everybody just burning some bushes. So just all like, okay. But yeah, that's my first job, and my second job was just raking, and that was really funny. That's a funny one too, because it was all snowing. Emmanuel was one of my the job duties with me. We're just all like, is it going to snow? And after that, we didn't finish it. So so I keep moving around. I was just like, gosh, shuffling. So yeah, those are the only two jobs I know. So that's why.
Well, one of the main jobs that I had was being student body president.
Wow.
I only say that because there was a lot of duties and responsibilities that still had to be decided on, and during that time, last minute assignments and making sure, like during those last minute changes, things were approved and everything. And so that was one major job. Like, student body president duties do not stop when you're on MIT. But my other job that I had was pretty much, like I just explained earlier, was, working the lift, making sure like all the guys had a turn. At first day, we had the first lift, and me and Tim were just operating that one until that one broke down. Well, and then we had to wait for another lift, and I was operating that one. But yeah, making sure everyone got a chance on the lift. So pretty cool stuff. I don't know what else other job I had, but yeah.
Yeah, my first one was trimming or cutting down those big bushes next to the gym. We're cutting those down, and then just check on the side for the whole crew to take it. It was me, Emmanuel, Micah, and Nova, and I think someone else too. I can't remember, but yeah, that was my first job, trimming down those bushes with a chainsaw and just yanking it out. So that was pretty fun. My second one was it was a box where we were replacing those old boards because they were like super rotten, so they were no good. So we just I think Joe got new boards, and so we are just replacing it with a new box where like I think the water pipes is and everything. And so we took all that apart and installed like the new boards and stuff. So it was pretty good. That was Tuesday. I remember because it was snowing, so it was really cold, but it made the experience a lot more fun because it was me, Josh Ortiz, Tim, Jerry, Sky, I think someone else too, but it was mainly just me, Ortiz, and Tim. So that was a lot of fun. Get to be with the yeah, just yeah, that was pretty fun. And then my last one I threw was I think it was in the same day we were digging another pipeline because it was busted, and so Joe's like, hey, dig this out because like the water pressure or the sprinkler was broken, and so it was the same team, but I think it was with Karen. I think Karen was the only one that was doing that, so we were helping them and everything. So that was my third job and everything. So yeah, those are the jobs that I had.
Cool. Y'all, thanks y'all for sharing that. So I got two more questions, and then we'll be done here. So Kyan, you can still answer this one, all right? All right. So we're gonna go down the line. So if you were to plan the next MIT, where would you go and why?
All right. If I were to plan the next MIT, it would be Seneca Res, the Seneca Res in New York. And the reason why is because that's Kareen's res, and she's been here at IBC for a long time, and yet no one's been able to go out to her res and help out yet. And so, like, if I were to plan one and money wasn't a problem right currently, we'd definitely go to New York and help out with her res because it's been on her heart, and I see that she has a love for her people, and that rubs off on me, and I'm like, oh yes, let's go do it, let's do it. And so very passionate about that and hoping that sometime in the near future that can become a reality.
Well, I never planned about next MIT, so oh geez, sorry. I was saying the res, cause I know people need some help over there. Didn't need a lot of help. I like in Cortez, like we see a lot of, like we're helping them, and it's, I don't know how you say it, but yeah, I see them that they need a lot of help, including the churches. So yeah, I just want to say the Naval res, or yeah, like no cities, just to get to help them, just to know that get to know the Lord. I know there's a lot of things happening, so yeah, I just want to say the res.
I would have to second what Amy said, like Seneca Res up in New York State. Same reason too, is like because Kareen being staff member, being alumni too here at IBC, and a lot of the MIT trips that we've taken to these locations, to those locations, a lot of them were they had alumni working within those ministries, and you can see it. I mean, I'm just being a little honest that you can see it on Kareen, and there's a closing, towards the end of every MIT, where she expresses that, and sorry, my diva came out. So, but I would have to say, Seneca Nation, and even though this is my last year, but I do have a heart, for when I see Kareen talking about it, express it, and you see the tears come down, and it's like, yeah. But I do hope that in the future, either next year or the year after that, it can be a future plan. I understand it's going to be a lot of work planning for that, and probably a lot of sales that need to be taken initiative of, or open doors for donations to be made for that trip to happen. But I do pray that something can take place for our staff member, our sister, our clan mother here, and just to see that need finally be met, and to actually see IBC go the distance, and letting God take the reins on this and show the students and future students this is God showing everyone this is the world, this is the ministry, this is the task that I'm calling you to. What say you?
I'm gonna have to say the same thing. I heard New York State, so I'm like, oh shoot, New York State, Kareen's hood back at home. But yeah, no, I agree. I can't remember. I can be wrong, but I think Kareen did a chapel service about her home. I think that was correct, but that really caught my interest. I mean, it will be something new for IBC and MIT, so I think that will be really a great opportunity to do that. Just to go to Kareen's home, and just to do just for the Lord to bring her back into just to bring us with her to her hometown. I think that would be a huge honor to do that. I don't know too much about it, but I can definitely agree. I saw it, I can see in Kareen's heart that she really wants to do that, and I can agree with, hopefully sometime in the future that would happen. I mean, it'll take quite some time to save some money, but yeah, it's definitely doable. But again, it'll be something new and something for us to all look forward to. So I think that'll be a really, really great opportunity to do that. So yeah, I would love to do that. And yeah, so yeah, I agree with these guys.
Yeah, I would also agree too. Thank you guys. I was actually very thankful that MIT was able to come to my reservation back in 2017. However, I was a moody teenager. I wish I was mature as I am now when we went, but there's still a lot of things I can take away from that. And yeah, I also had opportunities to visit Kareen's res and meet some of the people out there. They're very, very welcoming and hospitable. It's actually pretty cool. And despite the different beliefs and whatnot, they'll still be friends and talk with you and stuff, which is pretty cool. I did have one last question, but someone actually commented and asked us a question. So, yeah.
No.
What is a funny memory you guys have? A
From
funny
MIT?
memory. Yeah, MIT.
I think for me, a funny memory has to be watching the guys at the burning pile try and lift a
Yeah.
log and show off their manliness. That was hilarious because a lot of them looked like they were going to hurt themselves, and I was scared for them. But that was funny, and we were all cheering when they were able to get it up. So that's one of my funny moments.
I'm trying to think. My funniest moments, I think, is same thing like that too. When I was all like in the campus, I see them like piling like bushes like at the fire. They're all yelling. Ah! I was just all like a, I know like an Indian sound. I'm just all like, is that the Indian cry right there? They're like ah, and after that I was all looking. I'm just all like, okay, they look like they're doing a skull dance over there. Yeah, that was really funny. I just hear those like they're just making like funny moments around there. So yeah, that's really funny. So
I hope I don't get sued for this. But one of my funniest memories would have to be of Jonathan Hines. This was 2 years ago when we were going to South Dakota. I think for all of us, it's pretty much burned into our memories of the red shirt and red sweatpants that he wore that entire week. Boy was just red all week. But one of the nights, I think it was during the day the snowstorm came at South Dakota, and we were just hanging around in the chapel, the little church out in Sisseton, and a few of us were playing cards, and I overheard Jonathan asking somebody, because no. First, somebody was talking with him, and then he said, what every native says after a good joke, eh? That's what Jonathan said. And I overheard him, and I was like, Jonathan, are you turning native on us? And then he just started laughing, but then I told him, I was like, you said it just right too. You ended it at the right time. But Jonathan had to ask the question. It's like, so when do you use it? And so I had to speak for all the natives and say, it's something you would say after a good joke when you're teasing somebody, and you say it after something, like when something looks odd or it's out of place, and you think, hey, that thing's just out there, huh? And he quite kind of didn't get it, and he was like, so what do you mean? And I had said, you don't have to use it for a funny situation. You can also just say it for an indirect, like an indirect comment to something. And he goes, I don't understand. So it's like, well, I don't know how to explain it because, A can be used in any situation. You can say like, hey, Manuel's just standing there, huh?
Hey.
Hey, that camera is a little lopsided like this. Hey. It's like that. The word is just used for anything, and I think he kind of got it, but I haven't heard him say it after that. Every now and then, it's a rare moment to hear him say it.
I love the fact that you did it while dogging on my camera skills. But Momo that asked the question, she is laughing right now. She just posted some laughing emojis about you guys' stories right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm gonna say what Amy just said too. You see all the guys just lift up those heavy logs, and man, they are heavy. It felt like a challenge in my head. It felt like a challenge. I'm like, all right, it's time to prove my worth and everything. And so, but it was a lot of fun. I started laughing at Carter because he lifted a log and then he just dropped it, and
he was in a suit too.
Yep, I'm like, only Carter will just do that in a whole suit just to do that. I'm like, does that vest give you extra strength?
Slacks and dress shoes.
Yep. I see him untie his tie just a little bit just to lift that log. But yeah, it was funny just seeing Carter do that. I think it was funny, and just see all the guys do that. But yeah, it felt like a challenge. But yeah, so that was pretty funny. But yeah.
All right, so here's the last one. So as preview days is coming up, and you guys you finish your first year, you're graduating with bachelor's, and then you guys getting your certificate and associates. So the question I would have for you guys is, so like, let's say someone's watching right now and is curious about IBC. What is one thing you would tell them about IBC?
Feels like a second home. I mean, some days are hard. Sometimes I don't want to be here. But in the end, I love being here. It's full of biblical truth. It's full of mentors and teachers who want that community with you, who want to be there for you, who check up on you even when you don't want them to, who ask, hey, are you doing okay? And you think you're masking it, you're not. So Yeah, no, it feels like a second home, and it's a good community, and you build up friendships with people you didn't even like. If you're in high school, you probably would never be friends with, but here you're friends with them, and you laugh with everyone, and whether you're really close with someone or not, you still talk with them, and you're still real good. And so it's definitely the community, and that it feels like a home. And then again, it's built on biblical truth, and so you don't have to worry about heresy or false teaching here. So that's a plus, and Jesus is another plus.
I like what Amy said. It's like feel like a second home. Because when I first came here, it just felt like people that really care for you, just telling me advice about the Lord. And these staffs, they're really nice. They really help you. They give you some grace. So yeah, it just feels like you're home with your brothers and sisters. And they've really been helping me, and they always get worried about me too. They're like, hey, wait, what? I'm just like, chill. Just kidding. But yeah, they always been a family over here. And they can help you. The work, it's really good. Just to know about the biblical truth, including other things. And yeah, they're always helpful. And yeah, they'll be over here.
For me, it would have to be the indigenous indigenous relationships that are built here. And every once in a while, you'll get a diversity. Sometimes you'll get mostly Navajos. Not to be hating, but that's sometimes you get those years where it's mostly Navajos. But other years, when I first started here, there was a diverse indigenous community from Zuni, Yakima, Spokane. We had some from Alaska, and it was good to see that here, and you get to experience people from a different reservation, and it's like they're from a foreign country. So what do you guys do with fry bread at your place? And sometimes you get the perception, you get to hear what one tribe's perception is of another tribe, and sometimes it's either good, sometimes it's negative, but it's the dynamics of IBC, and it's basically this echoing the same thing that Amy and Faden just said, is that those friendships that you build here, and the community atmosphere that is here, it eventually shapes itself into a family that you're a part of, and it's no different from like families that you have back home, but the community here tends to be more healthy, and it helps shape your perspective of what brotherhood and sisterhood actually is, along with going to school, going to classes together, attending chapels, including Fridays on an SF day, and you get to understand a whole dynamic of voices and mindsets, and eventually that all weaves itself together into a beautiful tapestry here at IBC, and that's why I would say come to IBC.
Yeah, I want to say how much you get to see how God works through you in so many different ways throughout the semester. I think seeing how God worked through me from fall semester, last semester to this semester, just to see how God works through you through it all, and it's really a wonderful thing to see. You get to do things and memorize verses that you didn't do before, and you just start becoming like a prayer warrior, and you just start just hungry for the word, and you just want to serve no matter what it is. You just want to serve, at least for me, because that's how I want to worship God in that way. but just to see the areas that God can work through into your life and how He can use that on where you're at now, and He can be able to like upgrade you so much better into your faith, and from the classes that you'll be able to hopefully get to come as a student, like it's really transformational, and it's really opens your heart. You're like, wow, I didn't even think about this before, and you start realizing, like, that knowing like scripture now, there, like when you come here, there's so much deeper into that. Like it's really eye opening, and yeah, just the areas that God can just work into your life. It's really, that's what I love about it. And not only that, you have that support here with you throughout the week, and throughout the weekend, there's help and assistance everywhere. Anytime that you need it, it's just there. And the amount of encouragement and motivation just to dive deep into your word, and if you don't understand it, then you just have that help and the teachers to assist you, because that's why they're here, because they're here to help you and everything. But just to see the areas that God can use you and to put you in an area, and somewhere in Flagstaff to be able to serve and do what you love for the glory of Him. So yeah.
Well, I want to say thank you guys. Thank you, Amy, Faden, Kion, Andrew, for you guys' willingness to come on and stream, and for your willingness to do this as well, especially kind of last minute. So appreciate you guys' time, and hopefully, I want you guys to know that we do have an audience, and they'll definitely be touched and encouraged by your guys' stories. So thank you guys for joining. So you guys have a good night.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.
Go Net.
Thank you.
Bye.
Too close.